Hello everyone. So today I'm going to be talking about A Plague Tale: Innocence, which it released about 3 weeks ago when I'm recording this, which does make this video a bit late, as well as just the space between it and my last upload, but that is something I'm hoping to fix soon. But I did want to not rush this one out, and I did want to make sure that it was of a good quality because it's something I definitely wanted to talk about quite a bit, so I didn't want to mess it up. But I will try to speed things up in the future. But with that kind of apologizing for just not being good out of the way, we can actually get into what the video is really about, which is A Plague Tale: Innocence, and how I think it's a really good thing and something that's very much a big contrast to modern games now. And to start out, I was having some high hopes when I did go into playing the game, as I had seen some quite positive reviews just before playing it, so I had my own high hopes, is to say. But I was actually still astounded by the quality of A Plague Tale, not only in its story and its gameplay, but also the way it does differ from most modern games, that being its complete lack of microtransactions, loot boxes, or really any monetization. And this is something for which it's been greatly praised, and I think rightfully so. But I did think I'd do my own video on this to share my opinion, as well as I'd like to hear yours, so do leave those in the comments. But now, before jumping off into the whole jumble of how A Plague Tale does fit into today's gaming world, I think it'd be a good idea to briefly review the game and give some context and a basis to work from. So, A Plague Tale: Innocence is a linear, story-driven action stealth game, to kind of summarize it in some terms. And it is set in the 14th century during an exaggerated version of the Black Death, or, the Plague. But in this version, hordes of rats spring up from the earth in giant holes and try to eat you, and so that's the main point of the story, is trying to avoid getting eaten by the rats, and saving the protagonists Amicia and Hugo on various occasions, as well as their friends. And they and their friends have some lovely character interactions, and it all develops into a lovely, happy story that is also kind of sad and dark and depressing at times. But with all that said, I think that's a good basis, and it's not something that I want to elaborate too much on to avoid any spoilers, but enough to give some basis so I can go into more depth later on as things come up. So now we can start to talk about why A Plague Tale really is a breath of fresh air in the modern gaming scene. And one of the first things and most glaring things that is noticeably different from other current titles in A Plague Tale is the lack of microtransactions, being that the only DLC is a cosmetic pack worth $270 Canadian, which affects the game in no real way because it's a cosmetic pack. It changes the appearance of Amicia and Hugo, and that's it. So it's completely optional and will not affect the way you play the game at all, which is lovely. And this is a very stark contrast to the last few years in gaming, which have been really bogged down by games releasing with aggressive microtransaction systems in place from launch, oftentimes to fix their general lack of actual content that they get at launch as well. And new titles are also being fiercely monetized to squeeze out really every cent from whatever given IP is being used. Another strong point A Plague Tale has that is sorely lacking from many modern games is an absolutely phenomenal story. While many current titles do opt to focus on multiplayer and only deliver on that front, or just have really bad stories or just lackluster ones, A Plague Tale opts to deliver a strong narrative with memorable moments and characters made even better by excellent voice acting, and an outstanding tone setting through gameplay and visual storytelling. And this is all presented as well with great cinematography and a stunning OST to tie it all together. And though A Plague Tale is not unique in these traits, that there have been many good games in the last few years, especially single-player ones, it's one of a growing, or shrinking, few. Now, the last thing I'd like to note about A Plague Tale is how linear it is, which is to say, very linear. But this is in no way a weakness, as it lets the game use this to create a very fiercely detailed and well-crafted story, something that is, again, sorely lacking, as mentioned before, from many other modern games. Now all this together creates an experience that is truly unique and special, particularly in today's gaming world, and it is for these reasons that I think A Plague Tale: Innocence does deserve, and even more, recognition than it's getting. Well, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and definitely leave your opinions down in the comments, because I think that's a good way to start a discussion, and I guess be civil about it as well. Like if that's your thing, subscribe, and I'll see you in another video.